Hey guys, just wanted to really cover what this is, what this WordPress 101 attempt is all about. This is an intro video that I should have done before the video I just posted. So anyway, this is about setting up from A to Z a server from top down, from ground up, whatever you want to call it. But basically, how would you go ahead and build basically the entire, I hate that word basically, I use it too much sometimes. But anyway, how would you go about building a complete set from the ground up, from the pyramid being the top level domain, the top of the pyramid, all the way down to your servers, down to the web pages that are running on there, and the email and all of that kind of stuff. So setting up WordPress is only one little smidgen in this entire thing that's covered here. It's WordPress 101 because I think that's a good place to start, because it really gets you something useful relatively quickly. And so, you can really start to play around and start capturing data on your own this way. That's what I'm doing here. I've been messing with WordPress now for about 4 years, on and off, messing with it. And I think I'm finally getting to the point where I'm liking it again. There's so many other ones. You could do other blog type ones, but I chose WordPress because it's just all over the place anyway, and there's a lot of good plugins for it. So this is kind of an intro, not just in WordPress, but an intro in from the top down. How would you build a website? If you were running the servers and doing the DNS and doing all of that, it's all covered in this set of videos. So you can pick and choose what level of the 101 you want to dig at, where you're comfortable with, and it's meant to just kind of give you a reference point of the entire internet in a very, how shall I put it, condensed form, because there's a lot to the internet. There's and for a lot of people it's just a big, you just click on a web page, you don't understand what this web page is doing, what this URL is doing, I should say, or how the web page works. How is that server involved in interacting with the data to present a page to you? That's what this is all going to cover. This is going to knock through all these different layers. I'm using Webmin because it just makes things convenient. This is actually the name server that's serving Al's How-To right here. This is the name server. And I chose Webmin to manage the bind layer because it just makes it graphically efficient, convenient. And just setting up DNSSEC and all of that. This covers the entire setup, from picking your website to setting up the DNS to bringing a server online to, not only bringing a server online, but integrating it into DNS, again, that server, and then serving web data through to your site, for your site. So, I've got Web 2 here now. I'm going to go with Web 2. Now this is another Webmin. I love Webmin because it's just convenient. Oops. See? Yes, I'm logging in with root. So, the nice thing about all of this is that you're learning how all of these pieces, even down to the SSL cert, I'm going to talk about all of that. Because you'll notice on this one it's secure. connection is secure. But if you look back on another webmin that I was on here, it's not secure. You know, there's a big difference here. Your connection to the site is not secure. So I'm going to cover all of that. SSL, I mean, this is going to be an entire infrastructure web from ground up. And then later on other things, I'll get into actual design development and web development stuff as well. So you're going to see this kind of puzzle. This is kind of like a jigsaw puzzle. And each piece of this is going to fit into the overall understanding that I have of how this all is put together and what it means. You know, hopefully it'll help somebody else understand this a little bit so that they can ramp up quicker, because it's taken me years to get to this point. So I want to share what I've learned so that somebody else can do this stuff from the ground up when they get a job or whatever. You know, they want to do it on their own, they get a job and they need to do it, whatever. This is all kind of like a quick reference guide to how to do web. I mean, that's basically what this is going to become. Let's cover the ground up web development, ground pyramid down of web. And it's a huge thing. So hopefully I'm not rambling too much on this, and you'll see some benefit into what this is all about. Because, oh, I did want to mention, I mean, if you're looking at just WordPress, okay, you're wasting your time on this, because there's so many other ways to do WordPress. I'm trying to find a site that has web hosting. Here's web hosting. You can go to web hosting. That's a level, again, you have to understand. There's dedicated servers. There's web hosting. A lot of these are going to offer that. Web hosting means you're going to be they're running the web server for you. You just put your content on it, and then they serve it out. That's kind of what web hosting is. As opposed to what we're doing, we're actually web hosting our own from the ground up. We have root access to these servers. We're doing everything, as you saw. I logged in with root, but it's ground up. Everything you ever didn't want to know. And then here's some, you know, I've been trying to find some good resources for you guys that are reasonable in prices. And Ionis, this site here, I think they call themselves one-on-one, whatever they call themselves. You know, I was looking at, you know, this site, and I'm kind of in the site now because I've logged in, I guess you could say. Come on. Man, I'm going to have to edit all this out, because it's like, select your package. I don't need everybody seeing my freaking packages now. I hate that I have to edit that out now. So, anyway, whatever. What I was trying to show you, let's see if this is going to push me back into the select your package. I'm not all the way happy with Ionis, but whatever. They're not that bad. I just, you know, web hosting again, you know, WordPress. There's plenty of sites that offer WordPress out there themselves. Go with that if you're just wanting to learn WordPress, okay? Don't get into... Now, if you want to learn, I mean, if you look at my other videos towards the end of this series, that's when we'll get into the WordPress stuff. But up front here, we're going from the ground up. You know, VPS, virtual private server is what that means. And I found some pretty good prices here from here. We'll go to pricing. You can't beat these prices. It's cheaper than coffee, okay? Look, you can get a VPS 1-core 512. This you could do DNS. This server right here would be good for like DNS, to set up your own DNS server on, okay? That's about all that thing's going to be good for, okay? This you could get away with actually serving a WordPress site, one WordPress site on. Pretty successful. This you could do WordPress and email, for instance, and maybe some other stuff, smaller site stuff on there too, like an admin type cPanel type thing that maybe you're going to serve multiple WordPresses. You could kind of get away with that small. This one, there you're starting to get into more. This is what you would consider a good WordPress server right here. I mean, like where you're getting a lot of content. But that's the point, is you can start with something like this, and then as you get content, as you get users, you can always ramp it up, and add other servers, and get to the big boys when you're making some money on this stuff, if that's your goal. Whatever. I mean, it's kind of dependent on what you're after as far as the overall aspect. So I hope that helps explain something, that this stuff is really more than just WordPress. If you're really looking for WordPress, there's stuff all over, again, on the domain registrars and hosters out there that host, like HostGator, all those, INS, GoDaddy, any of the big ones pretty much have WordPress Direct. Boom, you just set it up and they give you email, but it's got limits, okay? So this is kind of like getting around some of those limits, what this is capable of doing. Once you understand how to set this up, you are in control, okay? They can't shut you down as easy for whatever reason, but you have to pay for your services, or they'll shut you down that way. But I'm trying to give you some options here that aren't so expensive. So really, the cheapest that I've found for VPS are 3. So let's see. I can't think. OVH is another one. Another wonderful one. Again, what you're after. Cloud web hosting, another one. They offer web hosting here. Domain names, you can register domain names here too. I've never used them as a domain host, but I could. I mean, maybe someday I will. But I have servers that are running on here for virtual private servers. They're reasonable too. Again, this one you could get away with a WordPress running on, a very simple WordPress. This would be your average WordPress site right here. This would be like your WordPress multi-site right here. This would be perfect for multi-site WordPress. And this would be for production, like enterprise or company wide WordPress. So here's another one. So $5. I don't know if you remember the other INS. I think I still have them up. I don't know if I got rid of them or not. But they're hosting, VPS hosting. It was like $5 for a little bit better server. It's kind of a game. They were more expensive. They've dropped the price since I left them, and now I'm coming back. I just said, okay, I'll go back here because I can get a 2-core, 2 gig, 80 gig hard drive, perfect for my site. Okay, so that's one that that's nice. Now, another thing you got to worry about. These two sites are great with IP6, okay, but then when I get into another site, let's see, it's IO stream, what is it called? I can't remember what it's called now. I just started using them, so I'm having trouble remembering their name. Alright, finally found what I was looking for. IO Zoom. Another, yeah, again, WordPress. They have VPSs if you want to run it that. They have hosting. Understand the difference. VPS is a virtual private server. Hosting, it's a level above VPS. It's basically, they've got Apache or whatever Lightspeed, I think they use it over here a lot. But anyway, it's your web server running the WordPress site within it. Yeah, via Lightspeed. Anyway, so, whatever. This is not the video up front that if you want to learn WordPress that you want to start with. You want to get towards the end. I would say I will put out there, this is where WordPress really starts, because this stuff is entry-level administration of servers, domain, DNS, the stuff that makes web the web. Okay, so let's not get caught up in so much, well, this is WordPress, because that comes later. Okay, so we'll get there, but I want to show a ground up. That's kind of how I like to give everybody a platform to build from. So I'm trying to build a foundation here of knowledge. So we're building a platform of knowledge here. Good solid foundation of how the web works, on up through how servers work, on up through how Apache works, and I'll probably go into other browser or servers, web servers as well. All the way up to how WordPress works. Because this is, again, another tree, pyramid, whatever you want to call it, of knowledge. WordPress is at the top of that knowledge pyramid. And all this other stuff, without the other stuff, WordPress wouldn't work. But if you're wanting to do WordPress, you don't necessarily care too much about all that lower stuff. Unless you're kind of wanting to learn. And it's one of those where, that's what I mean. Don't feel like you have to go through this entire series, watch every video. Pick where you're comfortable at. I'll try to say what that video series area is about. When I get into WordPress, I will specifically say, after WordPress 101, whatever video I'm at, I'll say WordPress. I'll call that out specifically, saying that this is the WordPress stuff now. Whereas right now I'm calling out domain, because that's kind of where everything starts, and TLD, top level domain, that kind of stuff. So this is covering that pyramid from the foundation all the way up, and also the structure of this internet from the top level all the way down, making the pyramid the opposite way for DNS. Because you're not the top of the pyramid, you're the bottom of the pyramid on DNS. You're the users of how shall I put this? DNS is served by them going to the root servers and saying, hey, where are other servers that serve this data? Those then get called, and then they get queried for what servers run WordPress, for instance, based on the domain subdomain concept here. Domain, because you got top level domain, domain, subdomain, protocol, and then whatever articulation that you want to do at this point is just subcomponents, almost like functions of different things. But this area here is the domain stuff. This is the protocol stuff. And this is the function stuff of a URL. Alright? Anyway, that probably should have been covered in the domain stuff, but I threw it in here now. So, anyway, that's also covered in my other stuff. I might put a video or a picture of that a little bit better. I found on Iona's site, I think it was. Maybe I can get there. I don't know. Because I thought it was a perfect representation of that DNS stuff. But anyway, I don't want to get caught up in that too much right now. So this is an intro, so enjoy.